Okay, well, hello everybody. This is my second vlog post, and just gonna hopefully keep things a little bit shorter this time. But you know how things tend to be with me, if you know me, so we'll see how well that works. We're also trying a new spot today. I'm staying in the living room, on the couch, using my laptop, my new, well, my mom's laptop. And so the video quality is a little bit lower, but I think the audio quality is better, so hopefully that should be good for everybody. As always, feel free to question or comment, or you know, if you have any questions or anything you want me to talk um, about my personal life, or you know, in the real world, um, by all means, feel free to ask. Happy to have something to talk about. um, in the news today, I got my name change stuff approved, so that's pretty sweet. Can't complain about that. Well, actually, I can, because they didn't do it correctly. Um, they they hyphenated my middle name, which is weird because that's something I was thinking of having them do, but decided on not having them do it. It doesn't really matter though. Like, I'll ask them to correct it, and you know, if they say, "Oh, that's what you wrote, so no corrections," then that'll be annoying. But I'll just wait for the next opportunity to change my name. Um, I guess it's you know, I guess it's kind of early, but Marion suggested that maybe we'll change our names together, and that would be cool. Maybe make my middle name Jane. We, that could be neat. So yeah, if need be, I'll wait for that. But you know, I'm not too bothered by it. Hopefully they can correct it though. But it's almost a full year since I initiated the process. It took me a little while. Well, with shitty X and surgery and all that other stuff that was going on, um, managed to finally get it done. Pretty cool. It's official. Yeah, I'm Jessica Jarrett now. It's funny too, because the letter that they mailed, like they mailed it to me, but it still had my dead name on it. Like, you feel like that would be one of the best times. You know, like the letter that you get from the government entity that is changing your name. They're the only people who know your official name. Probably should use your official name. So that's annoying, but that's bureaucracy for you. Other than that, not a ton going on. Haven't been up to much. Managed to orgasm again yesterday. Haha, that was pretty sweet. Clitoral orgasms, pretty awesome. It only took like 3 hours, several toys, and 2 joints, and 2 glasses of wine, and a lot of porn. But did manage to do it, and that is what matters after all. So that's really nice. It is a great relief knowing that I can orgasm. Um, oh yeah, I also lost my virginity yesterday. Um, that's pretty cool. Can't complain about that. So it's the fourth time I've lost my virginity. Um, and I mean, this time was it's nowhere near as much fun as losing my anal virginity, that's for sure. But um, it was still pretty fun. And what's weird is it didn't hurt as much as I was expecting. Um, it is apparent that my partner is maximizing the available space. Um, that orange dilator, I tell you what, it's it's just a tiny bit smaller than my partner, um, and so that's pretty awesome. I definitely need to be deepened out a little bit. And oh yeah, that reminds me. There's this really awful girl. Her name is Josie, I think, and she's some trans girl, local trans community, and she's had surgery. So she was posting in the surgery group about people worried about their depth, and after she got a boyfriend, then they started to have sex regularly. Her vagina got deeper, and that's great. Except that she's a shitty person, but that's still whatever. Um, can't believe anyone would want to have sex with someone who owns these thoughts, but I've been having that feeling a lot lately, so um, yeah, so like she posted in this thread to this in response to this girl, oh, don't worry, you just need to get a man to deepen your vagina, and I appreciate the crassness of the statement, but I don't really appreciate the gender-centric requirement. I'll have you know that my vagina can be deepened just as effectively by a trans woman or a cis woman with a strap-on or a gender-neutral person with a gigantic penis, like my partner. Um, so yeah, like that really, and she just over and over and over again, she just kept on saying that. We'll get your man and blah blah blah. And it's like, um, people other than men have penises, and it was really offensive. I mentioned her to my trans group, and apparently this girl posted like some super intense transphobic um, uh, things on a friend of hers wall. Um, I don't know anything about this person they were talking about. I don't have any context other than the fact that she went crazy in talking about this girl. Like transsexuals aren't transgender people. They're like half transgender people. Um, like I'm guessing because this person didn't want to get surgery, um, which is like, again, women with penises are my favorite kind of women. Like they're that's great. Gender neutral people with penises, among my favorite types as well. Well, at this particular moment, my favorite type. Um, I just like I mentioned it to her a few times, and to her intellectually cowardly credit, she just didn't engage with what I was saying. Um, it's a lot easier to just not engage those thoughts that disagree with your preconceived notions. And like that was just like her tirade was insanely offensive. And like you just figure that trans people are gonna have a better idea about gender. Um, the intensity and emotionalness of her response definitely seemed to indicate that she has her own emotional hangups about it, which isn't surprising. If you're a trans woman and you define yourself, with your vagina, then any trans woman without a vagina probably going to make you uncomfortable. Um, if she was uncertain about surgery or whatever, then people who are more certain, you know, might make her uncomfortable, I guess. Um, but you know, why gotta be shitty to other people? Why gotta be shitty to other people, or why gotta be useless to other people? Like, I don't understand this thing, where people are like, it's many people in many cultures do it, but in Canada in particular, I see a lot of this, where if someone you know, like a friend of yours, has some stupid belief, um, the expectation of you is to just be okay with that belief. It doesn't matter how stupid or even dangerous that belief might be. They're just like, oh, just like they'll keep their opinions to themselves. You keep your opinions to themselves. Nobody gets hurt, and it's like, well, yeah, on the one hand, my friend is hurting themselves by holding some ridiculous belief. If this Josie girl was my friend, and thankfully she is not, um, certainly she would not be anymore after a tirade like that. Um, yawning, I'll tell you, feels good. Um, but yeah, like this tendency to just let people believe whatever stupid thing that they want to believe is outrageous. Letting people believe that homeopathy is real, or naturopathy is an alternative to conventional medicine, um, and has any kind of reliable medical value. Um, all of these ridiculous practices that exist. Um, God, and of course, much more simply and closer to home, good old fashioned trans misogyny and transphobia. I was also messaged by some guy, a friend of my friend Nathaniel's, um, was talking to me for a little bit, and you know, pretty obviously was talking to me for because he thought I was hot. I don't know if he knew I was trans or not, but telling him I was trans is the last conversation we had. That was just I told him that just after letting him know that I disagree with his beliefs about gender queerness and gender neutrality. He thinks that it's just not a thing. And if gender is a spectrum and masculinization is a biological process, two statements which are scientifically true, then it makes a lot of sense that either of those things can be interrupted. If the physical process is interrupted, then those are intersex people, and if the masculinization of the brain is interrupted, that seems to me that's where you're going to get transgender people, and if you get people where that process interrupted, like very much in the middle, you're going to get gender neutral and gender queer people. People who, like, if you're right in the middle, um, and I can't speak to this because I don't feel this way, but it makes sense to me that you might feel different one day versus another, especially given the cultural influence, and the way cultural behavior influences our behavior. Um, and like some days I'm feeling confident and sexy, and want to get all dressed up. And other days, I would rather dress down, and if I don't feel like shaving, like I might even kind of go guy mode, but of course I don't have any guy clothes, so I can't really do that. But that's okay. That works for me. So there seems to be a very clear scientific basis for gender neutrality and gender queerness. Um, but also, it just doesn't seem like it costs anything socially for us to respect the requests of people. Um, people, oh, it's complicated, with like saying the they pronoun and that kind of stuff. But, you gotta learn new words all the time. That's what growing up and being an adult and learning about the world is. Um, common sense is not necessarily the right way to look at things. Things are not always as they appear. Um, I do not appear to be 99% of my body does not appear to be empty space, yet that is what it is. So, all kinds of things are just not logical in that fashion. So, it's really frustrating for people to just be so willfully ignorant on that matter. That's a spicy meatball. Whew. Wow. I think there's something in this cigar. So, yeah, it's frustrating that people are able to just. It's frustrating that people themselves are able to just ignore that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's part of being human. Um, we tend to not spend a lot of time knowing that we're wrong, unless we're conservative. um, at the very least, there's some kind of cognitive dissonance, or um, some kind of emotion driving the excuse me, the emotional response. So it's annoying that people do it, but it's also annoying, like it's particularly annoying when people let people around them get away with it. Um, like I don't understand. It's just maybe it's the culture I grew up in the States. Maybe it's my family's culture. I don't know, but that does not fly. My stepsister is somebody I enjoy, but sometimes she says ridiculous, insanely ridiculous things. And I'm sitting at the dinner table, surrounded by people, nodding their head in agreement, or just ignoring her statement. Whereas I want to be like, hey, like, let's unpack this statement that you just made. There's some real, there's some misnomers in here. There's some misunderstandings. There's a lot of fear and anxiety, and like, let's, let's take care of how you feel about this thing. Let's talk about why you feel this way, and maybe we can get somewhere instead of just wanting to live in the bush all by yourself. Because like that's not an unusual feeling. Wanting just being like fuck everybody and being alive, like, and obviously killing yourself is a scary prospect. Who knows what that's gonna be like? Um, but living in the middle of nowhere, with maybe just your partner, if you're able to find one, um, doesn't sound so bad. Away from the capriciousness of the city and of the state and of strangers, um, and of people you don't trust as much as your lover. I mean, it's hard enough to trust your lover. So, I mean, it makes sense to me that her fears would drive her reactions and feelings in that way, but because nobody's willing to talk about it, she doesn't have an opportunity to grow those ideas. They just like you can't do that which does not occur to you, and you know, like, it didn't even occur to me that I could be trans until I read someone who was like, no, 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 like, if you feel this way, you could be trans. And then it's like, oh, like, that's the only requirement, um, not anything else. So, yeah, it's a weird, it's a weird thing to let people get away with. I just think, and there's a lot to be said about, the way that you approach people too. But I think that that's a two-way street. Like, on the one hand, it's important for me to be mindful of the way I approach others, but of course, it's also important for others to be mindful of the way that other people approach them. So, you know, if I'm not able to perfectly execute my, hey, let's talk about this, that's not a reason to be like, oh, Jessica's so hard to get along with or whatever, which incidentally is not a thing I think people think. Um, since ejecting a couple people who are weird, as far as I can tell, um, from my life, everybody seems to like me quite a lot, and that's really nice. um, I still have like energy allocation issues, so getting out can be a problem, and actually seeing my friends can be a problem. But um, I mean, I do have them, and I rather enjoy their company, and quite a few of them are rather good company. Um, and don't tell anyone I said this, but quite a few of them are very cute. Um, it helps that so many of them are so cool. Invariably, I find people I like more attractive than people I don't like. So that's a thing about being human. But um, so like I think that and like I want my friends to challenge my thoughts and ideas, and I don't particularly care how people do it. If someone is passionate about how they feel, or even just about their disagreement with me, that's not something I'm going to hold against them. Um, I'm not going to like recoil in fear, or in particular be like, why do you feel so intensely about this? Although that might be a relative part of the conversation, that's not the only part of the conversation to have. This is something that my therapist and I were talking about, and it was really nice to have her confirm. um, like the reasons that I feel intensely about uh, you know issues surrounding my ex, and why I wanted to talk with my friend about it so badly. Um, I should have lost my train of thought, but it makes sense that I wanted to do those things so intently. Um, and the fact that my friend was unable to deliver on that, for me to find that frustrating, is not a particularly unusual thing. My need for cognition is real, and my need to understand is real. Um, and the fact that he presumably has the information that I require to understand, and is simply refusing to give me that information, is very frustrating. My beliefs about what happened could be wrong. There could be some piece of information out there where once I know it, I'm like, oh, wow, I feel really differently about what happened. But if that conversation never happens, then those thoughts and feelings never change. Um, hello darkness, my old friend. Um, it's just something that I would never want anybody else to go through. Like, I would talk about something like this with a friend of mine to death, um, if it helps them. You know. Um, but I mean, I'm willing to bare my soul. Like, that's just how I roll. Um, I am, after all, bearing my soul to strangers on the internet. but I think that it's important for people to know what it's like, inside, like the thoughts and feelings we have, um, and feel the need to reject. Um, and when we think about things and talk about things with other people, that's just how thoughts and feelings change. And yeah, I was really frustrated by my friend's refusal to do that, and remain very frustrated. Um, but it's his refusal to participate in my friendship um, needs to come with some kind of cost, and that's the only thing I've got. Um, I feel like I'd feel a little bit better. Like both times now, I feel like I really wish I could have, really yelled at my ex and really yelled at this guy. Um, that would have made me feel a lot better, I think. It's really being able to get my feelings, um, you know, to be heard by them. Uh, so hopefully the dispensary she works at by my place closes. It's just really weird that my abuser works near where I live. Like that's not a cool thing either. But and, like that's just another example, really. Like did anybody challenge her in what she was doing in a meaningful way? Um, I know that it's extremely dangerous to do that. It's a pretty good way to suddenly not be her friend, and incidentally, pretty good way to not be her fiance. Um, but anyways, promised I would keep these around 30 minutes, and my cigar is almost done. In fact, is done. Wow, that is weaponized. Have a sip of water here. So, I guess I'll just end with it seems to me that I think it's really important to challenge your friends and your own obviously beliefs, and by all means do it in a gentle way, as gently as you can. People are certainly more receptive to that um, than anything else, but it's just something that I think Canadian society is desperately lacking. This engagement, with the people that you have around you. Um, and it's something we have to do if we're going to move into the next, tier of society, where we're not, God, just terribly wasting our time arguing about things that we know are true, like global warming. Like we're arguing about whether or not science is true. And life is too short to waste our time and energy in this manner. To waste our time and energy arguing about whether or not women have the right to abortion, or whether or not genderqueer people have the right to be called they. Um, and like it's madness. No one person is ever going to change the mind of another person. However, hundreds of individual people might. Um, and as a matter of fact, I disagree with the notion that one person uh, cannot change another person's mind. I mean, obviously, one person can. It's usually a process, and it takes time, and critical human capacities like mindfulness and uh, um, a slavery to evidence and reason that most people just don't seem to be willing to commit to. Um, like there's just like it's global warming on one hand, vaccine deniers on the other, failure to talk seriously about religion, and in particular at this moment in history, Islam, um, but also Christianity. My partner's parents are Christian and have disowned my partner because of their gender identity, and that's a violence of another kind. Um, you don't need to physically punch somebody in order to hurt them. Um, and it just seems hypocritical to me that we make such a big deal about people who physically hurt people. That's really bad. But people who just emotionally hurt other people because of their beliefs, well, that's because of their beliefs. So who are we to judge them? Well, I say fuck that. Let's judge them. Let's let them know at every turn that this is just a stupid idea and that your beliefs are bad, and like explain it to them. Like there's evidence out there. Here's the evidence. Your ideas are wrong. Get with the program. Venus is hot because of carbon dioxide. Um, Vaccines work. Homeopathy doesn't. Um, Video games don't make people more violent. Women should be able to drive and wear what they want. Um, it's an embarrassingly long list, really. Just because I'm blanking now. Black people have the right to vote. There shouldn't be any ridiculous requirements to vote. We shouldn't have first past the post voting. We should probably have some kind of single transferable vote or something like that. Capitalism is great, except that it needs to be restricted by the government and regulations so that it doesn't unfairly exploit people and resources and destroy people or the planet. Alright, but anyways, I'm sure this is all review for, according to recent statistics, about 54% of you. So good on you, and the rest of you get with the program. And thanks for tuning in and listening to me talk about all of these kinds of things. Boy, what am I going to name this episode? It's going to be tough. Oh well, I'll figure it out. Alright, well thanks again everybody, and we'll see you later.